Good afternoon, everyone. I'm C. Aman Rajput, and it's my privilege to welcome you all as a moderator of this important webinar organized jointly by Committee on Commercial Law, Economic Advisory, and NPO Cooperative of ICAI. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all in this webinar on BUDS Act, that means Banning of Unregulated Schemes Act 2019, and BULA Bill, that means Banning of Unregulated Leading Activities Bill, as organized by the Committee on Commercial Law, Economic Advisory, and NPO Cooperative of ICAI. Now, let me brief you about this committee. This committee plays an important role in enabling chartered accountants to shape strategies, policies, and unlock economic, financial, and social value while combining analytical foresight with commercial acumen. The core functions include policy analysis and knowledge sharing, offering inputs to regulators on crucial legislative and economic matters, developing technical guidance and background material, as well as creating awareness on professional opportunities in commercial law, economic advisory, and NPO cooperatives. Through these incentives, like today's session, the committee continues to build capacity and awareness in areas of professional importance. Now, let me introduce our speaker for today, CA Abhishek Kumar Agarwal sir. Sir is a chartered accountant with nearly 20 years of expertise in various domains, including strategic, corporate planning, consulting, and compliances on foreign direct investment and financial and project planning. He is a chartered accountant of 2003 batch with science and law graduate, postgraduate in diploma in journalism, and certification on arbitration. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Shall we start?
Yes, we can start.
Okay, that's great. I think participants are about to join, or um, is it the time of 2 p.m. we have shared with all actually?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Actually, I could see. Fine. Anyway, let's start. It's
Participants
about
will view
the
from ICA webinar, ICA TV channel, not Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay,
You may
let's
continue.
start. It's about the uh, banning of deposits scheme and banning of lending scheme. What is actually it is? Let me open the presentation. Just a minute. We will start from the BULA. BULA is basically banning of unregulated lending activities 2024 draft. It is a draft. It is not yet converted into the act. It is not passed by the parliament. So what actually it is? It is we are talking of banning. So the purpose of the government is to ban something. What to ban is the lending. Lending cannot be banned because lending is a legalized financial activity. So what to ban is to ban the unregulated lending activities. So understand what is unregulated because banks are lending, NBFCs are lending, and there are other chit funderies, and there are a lot other organizations which are into the business of lending. So, what the government intend to ban by putting banning of unregulated lending activities bill 2024. It came in December 13th December 2024. It is under consideration for the review by the state secretaries and by the regulatory authorities across the department. Right. Now, purpose क्या है? What is the purpose of putting this into the place is to curb the unregulated lending activities. We will understand what is unregulated and what is the loss from the unregulated lending activities. It is to protect the interest of consumer. So first understand what is unregulated and regulated, right? In the Act, Section 214 made they have defined the regulated activities. What is regulated activity? Regulated lending activities means the lending activities is specified under the law listed in the schedule. They have said that there are certain activities of lending which shall be considered as the regulated activities, and these activities are prescribed in the first schedule of the draft bill. Let's see the what or these the government say these are the regulated lending activities. They have said that in the schedule it is Reserve Bank of India, any scheme provided and approved by the approval of Reserve Bank of India or the Banking Regulation Act or the Bank of India or the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act, regional rural banks, export import bank, multi-state cooperative societies, national housing, national बैंक, इस तरह से करके by doing this all around 20 activity 20 regulation have said that any scheme of lending which is approved by the under these regulations is regulated. So it means definition of now we read the definition of unregulated. We understood ki what is regulated? Regulated by these regulations. And now we read the this is where is unregulated unregulated एक minute, just a minute. This is yes. Unregulated lending activities means lending activities which are not covered under the regulated lending activities. Means कि any activity of lending which is not prescribed or approved by these regulators as mentioned in the first schedule of the draft bill shall be deemed to be unregulated activities carried by any person, whether through digital lending or otherwise, which are not regulated under any other law for the time being in force. Means, first, now take a pause and understand what is the structure and what is the intent behind of putting this draft. They are saying that we will banning of unregulated lending activities. We will ban. What we will ban? We will ban the unregulated activities. And what are unregulated? Means which are not regulated. So primarily, if you talk me personally as a professional financial expert or the aware of the domain, any act which is considered to be act are made specifically. There are certain Supreme Court decisions in which court has said that act must be clear about what to be done and what not to be done. Any blanket ban which is not defined and saying that other than this is not allowed, this kind of regulation, this kind of acts are not appreciated by the Supreme Court. But anyway, purpose behind it is as of now we are talking about it. It is a bill, it is not the act yet. So in this, they have said that we will ban any unregulated activities. Now we move little further. Uh, We'll see, we read the purpose of this act. A bill titled is this BULA, banning of unregulated lending activities, to ban all persons, entities not authorized by regulators or not registered with them undertaking public lending business activity. So this is important here is public lending business activity means intention was to curb the practice of lending which is not regulated publicly. If anyone is doing at a personal level, that is not the intent of the act. We will now understand it later on that what are the gaps herein in the draft and what is the intent behind it. But first, we start over it. See, the risk which the regulators see in unregulated lending is the predatory practices such as exorbitant interest rate. There, if the scheme, if the lending process is not regulated, then there is no control over the interest rate which can be charged, and heavy processing fee and unethical recovery practices. These are the primarily issues which the government feels that these are happening into the lending system which are unregulated. So this need to be addressed. As we all aware that last around 1 and 2 year back, RBI has notified certain lending applications which were banned by the RBI from the Google app and the Android app, that only the approved applications will be available for download from there. So intention of the government is to protect the interest, public interest. And let's see whether the draft is in that line or not. Okay, this as we have covered. Now let's move on. As per rough estimate of the various reports, around 40% lending in India is through unregulated lending sources, informal channels, just as self-help groups or the digital lendings. These are the platforms or the groups or the women kitty. These are the friends or the relatives. These kind of lending prevail in whole of the India from the ancient times, and still we are somewhere not much, still 30-40% we lend from these sources. So if we read the draft of BULA, banning of unregulated lending activities, it banned any unregulated, these are our unregulated lending basically, and ban it, it will impact a major portion of our population. And please, meanwhile, please let me know whether I am audible and or things are going on the track, or there is some gap of the connectivity. Please do let me know meanwhile so that it doesn't happen accord.
The connectivity is a bit poor, but you're audible.
Connectivity is poor.
Yes.
Hello. Connectivity is poor.
Yes, sir.
Audio as well.
Audio is also buffering.
Audio is also puffy. Okay. Let me do just a minute. Let me reconnect.
Immediately.
Just me. Let me do. Hello. Am I audible now? Is it better now?
Yes, sir, it's better.
It's better. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Let's continue. So, so we first let's briefly take the provisions of the draft, and then we will discuss about its implications. We start from section 3 of the draft, basically banning of unregulated lending activities. On and from the date of commencement of this act, the unregulated lending activities, including digital lending, shall be banned. As I have explained earlier as well, that any activity which is not regulated is intended to be banned with this draft, right? And no lender shall directly or indirectly promote, operate any issue, any advertisement in pursuance of unregulated lending activities. Neither will be lending nor any advertisement will be allowed for any unregulated lending scheme. So basically, bill risk the criminalizing social lending in communities, means lending to the non-relatives, self-help groups, and the microfinance and digital lending. As per an estimate, around 12 million self-help groups are there in India, covering more than 14 crores family, which are not registered or which are not regulated, but are into the lending practice among the self-help groups. This format of lending also will impact digital lending in the form of peer-to-peer lending or buy now, pay later schemes. So, peer-to-peer also is not the format of registered lending. Also, the buy now, pay later is the scheme of lending which is also not registered. So, these kind of financial challenges will be faced if the bill is implemented in the existing format, but we are discussing the both the provisions of the draft and its implication. So I am parallelly making out the implications as well as the what is written in the draft, both continuously as far as possible. Section 3 we have read about the banning. Now section 4 talk about the wrongful inducement in relation to unregulated lending activities. Means no person by whatever name called shall knowingly make any statement, promise, or forecast which is false, deceptive, or misleading, deliberately conceal any material facts, digitally or otherwise. What is important to induce another person to apply or take loan from the lenders means neither lending is permitted nor advertisement is permitted nor inducement or solicitation is allowed. So these are the two basic provisions, section 3 and section 4, which primarily totally banned. However, there the appropriate government in consultation with the concerned regulators may notify certain activities to be banned. In addition to these, the appropriate government can also ban some other lending activities which it thinks necessary in consultation with the regulators. So, what is the appropriate government? Now, let's read the definition of appropriate government. Appropriate government is the government in respect to union territory is the central government, and with respect to the state government. Right? So, state government in consultation with the regulators may ban other lending activities as well apart from the unregistered lending schemes in consultation with the regulators, right? So we have primarily covered the banning section, section 3, section 4 and section 5, which are the primary section for banning the unregulated activities. Now, there are one other important aspect of this bill. Actually, this bill is in line with the banning of unregulated deposit schemes Act 2019 on the same lines. So it has a provision of a separate competent authority to address these issues. Basically, they want that separate mechanisms should be there either to control or to report or to manage or even to adjudicate the matters. So the draft has made a provision for establishment of a competent authority. So what is competent authority is the appropriate government means the state government or the union territory के case में central government shall notify appoint one or more officers not below the rank of secretary of the state government. Basically, the state government will appoint a competent authority, any secretary of the state government as the competent authority. Okay, and on the what is the role of the lending authority, competent authority? Has reason to believe on the basis of information in particular as may be prescribed that any lending is being done which is unregulated or in contravention of the section 3 means unregulated, he may by an order in writing provisionally attach the accounts held by the lender and the money or the property acquired. So first is the banning, second thing is the establishment of the competent authority. And competent authority, what can do? It can attach the accounts, books, money, and the property acquired. Right? And apart from this, the competent authority shall have the powers as vested in the civil code, code of civil procedure with respect to discovery and inspection, enforcing the attendance, and examining the oath on the oath production of the records, receiving evidences on affidavit. So, competent authority can attach the money, can attach the bank account, can attach the property, and have the powers of the civil code with respect to inspection, discovery, enforcement, examining on oath, and this. It also have the power to summon any person whose attendance he considers necessary for the purpose. Means I repeat, the first part is the banning, second part is the establishment of a authority and the power of the authority. Right? I believe this is clear by now. Next, move further. Again, the draft bill has a provision for establishment of the designated code. Appropriate government we understood the competent authority, we understood the banning provisions, and now the designated code. The appropriate government means the state government shall constitute one or more courts known as the designated code. District say and session judge or additional district or session judges, not below than this. So a separate court will be assigned for this activity. So government intention is very clear about on the execution and the penalization. They want separate authority for the control and management and the separate court for the education of the matters for the proper justice to the public at large. So intention of the government is clear, but there are certain parameters which we are discussing and which needs some corrections or our suggestions that need to be updated or modified in the light of challenges. Right now, further, one more aspect of the bill is that central database means apart from the competent authority, apart from the designated court, the bill proposes for the central database means where the all the data of all the lenders and all the lending schemes shall be maintained. I read out the central government may designate an authority whether existing or to be constituted, which shall create, maintain, and operate, an online database for the information on the lenders operating in India. Right? Am I clear? We shall have the facility for the public to search information. The purpose of the government is to establish separate code, establish separate authority, establish database center for the verification of the schemes by the public at large. And every lender is bound to submit their information with this central database agency. Every lender which commences or carries on its business as such on or after the commencement of this act shall intimate the authority, means the competent authority, about its business in such form and in such manner as may be prescribed. जो prescribe किया जाएगा उसमें according to that it will be maintained, right? Next, move further. Now we come to the provisions of section punishment. Punishment is comparatively higher as compared to which we see in the other regulations. Any lender who lends money, whether digitally or otherwise, it has covered both digital and the physical lending. In contravention of the section 3 means lending of unregulated money, lending of money through a unregulated scheme of lending shall be punishable, which shall imprisonment shall not be less than 2 years, but may extend to 7 years, and the fine not less than 2 lakhs, but which may extend to 1 crore rupees. Right? The punishment of the where intention is to fraud, to harass and to recover loan, when the intention is there, that then the minimum punishment, minimum imprisonment will be 3 years rather than 2 years, and which may extend from 7 years to 10 years. And fine, as normal case was 2 lakhs to 1 CR. In that case, it will be 5 lakh to double of the amount of loan. So I again and recap all the which we have taught, which we have learned till now is uh, provision of banning, competent authority, designated court, penalties, central database, and the intention. This all we have covered, and I hope it makes sense to all the audience. Right, and again when offenses are there, we have covered the offenses or punishment of section 9 means the inducement for the lending scheme, the solicitation. Here the penalty can be up to 5 lakh rupees. Okay, fine. Now further we will be looking after. Okay, fine. This is search and seizure is not important. Power to search. Okay, let's read about it also as well. When there is information about the unregulated lending scheme, the competent authority to be informed of the offences. The police officer shall, on recording the information about the commission, basically it will start as the FIR or the police inquiry. Anywhere if unregulated activities are being done, police has the power to investigate and to look into the matter. And once police is of the view that it is whatever is being done is not in according to the provisions, it will inform to the competent authority about it. And the whenever a police officer not below the rank of SHO has reason to believe that anything necessary for the purpose of investigation is being done at any place, it can enter and search, of course, between sunrise and sunset, break open any door, seize any record or the property, detain and search take into custody and produce before any designated court any such person. So we see the powers given to the competent authorities, the courts, and the officers are huge. So implementation of this drafted bill, once it become act, is intended to be very stringently and very tight to curb such practices. Right, and then we move to the hmm, we have covered this publication. We have covered this Act 2 overriding effect. Save as otherwise expressly provided in the Act, the provisions of this Act shall have the effect, notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the timing in force. And it will be in addition to and not in derogation of other provisions of the law. Means when there is no contradictory provision, then the provisions of this act will prevail. But if there are contrary provisions in other acts, then it will be in addition to that, not in derogation of that. Right. So primarily we have covered the basic provisions of BULA, banning of unregulated lending activities draft bill. Now we just rapidly go through the PPT presentation. See, just a minute. Release by the Department Financial Service on 13 December 2024. Purpose is to address the unregulated lending activities. The Department of the ठीक है ठीक है जी draft release ठीक है जी okay. The bills aims to overcome the predatory lending practices, including digital lending, charging exorbitant interest, heavy rates, unethical recovery. Section 3 we have covered. Section 4 regulated lending scheme we have covered. List of regulators we have covered under Schedule 1. Lending not covered by the ठीक है we have covered according to ठीक है we have covered. Relative lending is excluded. Yes, this is an important point that they, as I have told earlier, any lending from the relatives are not considered as the unregulated lending scheme. So either registered by the regulators or the lending from the relatives. Only these two are permitted. Lending from the kith and kins, friends, peer groups, self-help groups is barred from lending activities as far as this bill is concerned. If the bill is implemented in existing format, it might have a negative impact on the financial inclusion of a larger segment of the population. As I told earlier, that around 30-40% of lendings in India are being done through the unregulated segment, and which primarily friends and the local associates. It will be impacted if the regulation is made mandatory for all. Okay, one more important thing is public lending activity means as business of financing by any person at interest excluding loan and advances given to relatives. Here is the point that what is intent is to ban the public lending activities which is unregulated. But the language of section 3 speaks of unregulated lending activities. If public word is added to the section 3 that unregulated public lending activities are banned, then it can address and to the intent and the purpose for which it is drafted. I hope I am clear. Relatives means relatives as per the definition of Companies Act 2010 means the spouses, the parents, the children, the brother and sister and their spouses primarily. Okay. Yes, suggestion we have covered. Complete ban on lending outside equity framework is financial exclusion. Discussed. We have discussed formal sources such as money lenders, self-help groups, digital lenders. We have covered the draft bill proposes a okay lenders are okay stimulant. Sorry. Okay, we have covered overview draft TKG. Lenders are restricted covered. RBI again we have covered it. Type of wrongful inducement. We have covered that. There is a penalty of 5 lakh. And it means either digital ads or the SMS or the applications or the call centers or the offline sales, which is anything by whatever mode you do, the advertisement or the inducement, both are uh, not permitted in the new draft. Purpose of the policy is to reinforce transparency and accountability, penalizing misinformation to promote the fair lending. That's fine. Okay. Competent authority formation, we have discussed. Power of the competent authority, we have discussed. Uh, Investigated powers, we have discussed. Provisional attachment, we have discussed. Civil court powers, we have discussed. Summons and evidence, we have discussed. Purpose, we have discussed. All lenders must notify the competent authority about their lending activities. We have covered that a central database is being proposed by the bill, and any lender is supposed to share information about the schemes and the activities with the competent authority as well as in the central database. Information sharing, reporting obligations by the regulated lenders, we have discussed. The constitution of the court and the power of the court and the matters in the courts with relation to the lending we have discussed. Expertise on the lending regulation, ठीक है हो गया. This is okay. The central government may designate an existing or new authority, हो गया. Cleared. Such information share CBI. Yes, this is the point which is left is if the lending activities are being done in more than one state, then the state competent authority is belong to the state and the designated court is also belong to the state. So in that case, the matter shall be referred to the CBI by the competent authority to investigate into the matters from including all the states wherein it is operating. Okay, all lenders must notify clear. Competent authority can require details. Okay, collected data shared with the information agency. Cleared. The purpose we have cleared. Okay. We have discussed the penalties and the fines and the imprisonment are from 2 years to 10 years and fines from 2 lakhs to 1 crore. 3 years to 10 years, twice of the loan amount. and full and one more thing, which publication, if any news agency or the newspaper or any advertisement agency publish or advertise any scheme which is unregulated, and later on it comes to the knowledge that it has been published, the publishing agency is obliged to again publish a full view clearly about the fact of unregulation on the same lines as it did earlier. So with this, we have covered the banning of unregulated lending activities Bill 2024, 2024, right? So, is Mr. Aman, you there?
Yes,
Hello.
so I am there.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I believe now there would not be any issue of this is connectivity or the voice. Is it there?
All clear, sir.
I believe connectivity issue is not there now.
No, no connectivity issues.
That's
Everything is
fine.
fine.
That's fine.
You're
Again,
audible,
the
properly visible.
okay, fine. And secondly, I have covered the BULA as well. I hope it clear, or do I need to put some more time on BULA?
No, it's clear.
It's clear, right? So we can move to
Can
the
go ahead with other one.
this is banning of unregulated deposit scheme 2019, right?
Right, sir.
I have shared both the PPTs with you, Aman.
PPT is not visible, sir.
Both the no, 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 I have shared with you separately both the PPTs.
You might have shared with ICI. I haven't received any.
I think I to whom at which number I shared on this is webinar Buds and Bula. No, okay,
Let
it
me check.
is not yet.
Hmm.
Okay, let me again sharing. I am just a minute. It's sharing. You will receive it.
I was added later on.
Okay,
Okay.
no
Okay.
worries, no worries. Okay, fine. I carry on. I carry on.
Okay.
I carry on.
Right.
Now, the banning of Unregulated Deposit Scheme Act 2019. So, the banning of Unregulated Deposit Scheme Ordinance 2019 was approved on 31st July 2019, but it was promulgated from the 21st February 2019. So, means it is applicable from February 21, 2019. What is that? An act for a comprehensive mechanism to ban the unregulated deposit scheme. We right now we have just discussed about the banning of lending. Now we are discussing about the banning of deposit. So in lending, we understood that there is a intention of the government to curb the practices of unethical lending. The same is here in the banning of deposit as well, because we have heard many Ponzi schemes that runs into the crores of rupees and lakhs of investors from very small amount, hundreds to lakhs rupees in the schemes, and at the end it becomes unoperational and money of the people goes nowhere knows where it is. So, considering the previous issues, be it the Sahara scams or multi other scams, something like that, the government decided to bring a mechanism by which investors or the depositors can invest in a well informed and well regulated schemes of deposits. See, we start with purpose is kya? What is the purpose? An act to provide for a comprehensive mechanism to ban the unregulated deposit scheme other than deposits taken in the ordinary course of business. Means आपने business में अगर if you have taken some deposits for running your business, then it is not covered in the deposit scheme, unregulated deposit scheme. But otherwise, if you are not taking deposits for carrying something different business, then it will be covered. One purpose is to ban unregulated deposit scheme, and the other purpose is to protect the interest of the depositor. Same ditto as we did in the BULA. I call it BULA in short, banning of unregulated lending activities. So objective is same, no unregulated and interest of the public. These are the two primary intentions. Okay. Now, before moving ahead, what is deposit? Because we are saying that unregulated. What is unregulated and what is deposit? We need to understand that first. So first understand is what is deposit. To deposit, if it is deposit only, then it can be regulated or unregulated. If it is not falling in the definition of deposit, then it cannot fall either. It can neither be called as regulated deposit or nor called unregulated deposit. So first it has to be deposit. If it is not deposit, then it is not covered by the act. So let's understand what is the deposit. Okay. Deposit is money received from the local authority, statutory authority, state legislature, or central government. If the money is given by the central government or the state government or any authority constituted by the parliament, then that money shall not be considered as a deposit. Right? Second, from the foreign governments, if any money received from the foreign governments, foreign banks, foreign body corporates, or the person resident outside India, which is subject to FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, the any money which is covered under the FEMA by these entities, it shall not be considered as the deposit, right? Next is banking company or SBI, the cooperative bank. It is the basic purpose of their these kind of organizations to take deposit and to lend money. So any activities done through these organizations or these regulator shall not fall in the definition of deposits for the purpose of banning under unregulated deposit banning scheme. From the financial institutions or amount issue against the commercial paper in accordance with the RBI. An important point is intercompany loan. Intercompany loans are also not to be classified as a deposit under Deposit Act. Boards banning of unregulated deposit scheme act means BUDA, BUDS Act, right? So intercompany loan it is important. Intercompany loans are not banned under the BUDS. Money received towards subscription of the securities means for allotment of the shares. If it is not done with beyond 60 days, then after the expiry of 15 days from the 60 days, it will become deposit. But till then, till that period of 75 days, it is not the deposit. From director or relative of the to the extent of own funds. Director or relative, if give some money to the organization of which they are the director or the relative of the director, to the extent of their own funds, it shall not be deemed to be the deposits. So will not cover under it. Amount raised by issue of bonds or debentures. Employee salary not exceeding 1 year, non-interest bearing. It is also not deposit. Any amount received in the course of or for the purpose of business of the company. What any advance for supply of goods or in consideration of the immovable property or the security deposit or the advance against the long-term projects or the advances for the future services or the advance allowed by the sectoral regulator or the amount received for the subscription toward the publication. Any money received against these five, six parameters by the company for the running of business shall not be considered as deposit. So I repeat, till now, these kind of deposits shall not be falling in the definition of deposit under Buds Act. So need not to worry about anything if the money is taken on these accounts, right? All the details will be available in the PPT of these. So I am just not repeating over here. Amount received from the promoters or the relatives is also not deposit. Any amount accepted by the Nidhi company is also not deposit. Amount received by way of subscription in the script of the chit fund is also not deposit. Amount received by the company under collective investment scheme, which is covered by the SEBI, is also not deposit. In case of the started company, amount of 25 lakhs or more for a startup company is also not considered as deposit if it is taken in the form of convertible note. Amount in taken by the alternate investment funds or the domestic venture capital fund or the infrastructure investment funds or the real estate REITs and the mutual funds registered with SEBI. These must be registered with SEBI. If these kind of funds are registered with SEBI, then the amount money received or taken by them will not be considered deposits. So primarily we see these 18 type of activities of taking money shall not fall in the definition of deposit. And apart from that, the comprehensive purpose of business is also not considered deposit. So we understood that primarily major activities are kept from the purview of the deposit for the ease of purpose of implementation and the to achieve the basic purpose of unregulated deposit schemes in the form of investment by the individuals with the liquidity scheme providers. Okay, now let's move same way accordingly. We have the definition of relative is the definition of relative shall be as in the Companies Act. I read down the list of the definition of relatives under the Companies Act. The father, including the stepfather, the mother, including the stepmother, son, stepson, son's wife, daughter, stepdaughter, daughter husband, brother, including stepbrother, sister, including the stepsister. These are the list of relatives. So any amount taken by the relatives is also not considered as the deposit under Births Act. Okay. Fine. Next, move to the central database. Uh, uh, just a minute. Just a minute. Hello. Yes. Sorry. It's okay. Fine. Back. So let's move to the PPT. Just a minute. Uh, let's move to the PPT. Just a minute. Okay. Is PPT visible to all?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, that's fine.
You
That's fine.
can please put
Oh,
F5, press F5.
sorry.
You can press F5.
Okay. 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 Oh, yeah. That's great. That's great. This segment, the initial understanding we have discussed, still let's discuss. Unregulated deposits refer to the funds collected by the entities not licensed by any regulatory agency in India. As I have told that the schemes which are regulated by any of the regulators listed in the first schedule are considered as a regulated schemes, and which are regulated, these are considered as to be banned via this act. And why they want to ban the unregulated deposit scheme? Because significant is due to lack of oversight and protection mechanism. Because the schemes which are unregulated, any regulatory authority don't have information about their viability nor the background of the promoters. So it is very risky for the invest from the investor's perspective, that the money which is being invested therein is not sure whether it will be returned back at the time of need or not. So the risk involved in the unregulated deposits is of the primary concern and the public interest. And why it is need to regulate, actually, why not to ban? Absolutely, purpose is the importance in the Indian financial landscape, economy, and vast number, as I have told, that most of our rural economy, to the tune of 30-40%, is into the unregulated lending or unregulated deposits. So usually what is the deposit scheme is the collective investment schemes, chit funds. Also, you have noticed that jewelers carry a scheme that you pay something monthly or minimum amount, and it is accumulated over a year or two, and then you can buy something. And the same lines on the builders also offer some schemes. And we have seen the digital wallets, as you buy something online, and mm, you refund it, you return it basically, and then the online platform asks you that your money is in our wallet, you can use it as per your convenience in the second buy. These kind also becomes deposits. Pyramid schemes, we all were aware, and the challenges in these pyramid schemes, MLM and the chit fund committees, women kitty, these kind of these are the primary deposit schemes which being taken care of. This is just for the information. Rose Valley scam. We all know that around 17,000 CR from you see the involvement of the people 28 lakh investors were impacted. Sharda Chit Fund 25 CR, 2500 CR, 17 lakh investors were involved. Sara case is well known about it. The number of the people impacted 2 CR people, and the Pearl Group people of impacted around 5 CR investors. So this is the importance and this is the need to bring this act into the picture to regulate these kind of challenges so that people don't get stuck into unregulated schemes. Market disruptions. And the more important thing, as you have noticed, that whenever such kind of collapse happens or these kind of schemes get out of the track, particularly at the time of repayment, when such huge population of the economy is get impacted, it creates a market disruption. The demand and supply and the purchasing power parity all goes into the wind. Even some families lose their financial stability because sometimes it is the only saved money which they have invested into these schemes out of the lucrative returns. And more important, apart from the financial part or the market disruption, the most important thing is the public confidence. Once the guy or the segment of the society or the group loses money in these kind of schemes, they have lost confidence into the economic system of the country. That is the major challenge. Of course, loss of capital, financial instability, and employment. Employment is also an issue. Financial instability disrupting the financial market. See, there is a challenge that we cannot, if we simply ban, because it will impact the major chunk which will move out of the financial inclusion, because in banks or some regulated schemes are not that easy for the grassroots people or the rural from the or people from the rural background. They are not good enough on the documentation part. Secondly, they are not aware as well of the regulated schemes. So if these are banned absolutely, then it impacts the financial exclusion of these people, and same time to protect them from the risk of exploitation and the unregulated schemes. So this act tries to do a work of like a bridge to balance between the financial inclusion as well as the public interest maintenance, so that their risk is limited, their risk is addressed, it becomes controlled, and they also get into the system. Both way, it is working on both way, because it is an alternate financing source. As I told that banks are not catering the complete population of the country, particularly in rural segments, uh, and impact on the investor confidence and economic activity, safeguarding of the depositors, setting up of agencies and coordination among agencies, depositor, deposit taker, and its implementation. The purpose of the act is basically, और challenges भी है and purpose भी है. Safeguarding of the depositors, safeguard setting of agencies, coordination among agencies, depositors, deposit takers, and implementation. Establishment of regulators, a scheme of registration of the scheme, maintaining of the central database, restricting regulation and people awareness, and step toward solution. As I told you, these are the primary challenges as well as the purposes of the act. Both way, it works both way. The challenge and the purpose. Next, move on. Regulating financial institutions and deposit entities, ये primary purpose है. Or initiative focuses on awareness, monitoring, and environment. Initiative or focus on awareness. People must be aware, monitoring of the schemes, and enforcement of the provisions of the act. These are the primary objectives. Setting, as I told you in BULA, that setting up the courts for handling deposits and related offenses, establishment of the competent authority, and this reconciliation with the other act. I will discuss it at the end of the presentation because this is not to be appreciated at this point. Importance of balancing regulation and the positive impact of unregulated deposit. As I told that we have to have hand in hand both way. On one side, we have to protect the investor, and on the other side, we have to keep them part of the financial inclusion. And this we can achieve through enhancing transparency and accountability. Transparency will increase, accountability will increase by establishing and putting the mechanism into the system to safeguard the investor interest. I believe the objective and the thought process and the purpose and the challenges of the activities are now clear to all the audience. Now we come to the brief provisions of the banning of deposit schemes, as we discussed about the banning of unregulated lending activities. It is almost same lines as we see now. See, the face is different, but the body below the neck is almost same. Same type of competent authority, same type of designated court, same type of penalties, same type of central database. But the objective one is the lending and another is the deposit. So the face is different, but mechanism is almost same. I will be wrapping it a little fast because we have discussed almost all the provisions. Protect investors, fine depositors from the fraudulent unregulated schemes, fine. Address the regulatory gaps, fine. Strict administrative measures, okay. Punishment to elect people, as I told, 1 year to 10 years and 2 lakhs to 50 lakhs, 50 CR. This is the impact of penalties. So penalties are heavy. Purpose is to demoralize the fraudulents, not to penalize the legal who are doing the work legally, but to penalize who are doing illegally. And most important is the provision of repayment of deposits. Deposit taker, now see, the scheme is applicable to anyone. Not, it's not about the trust, it's not about the nidhi company, it's not about the cooperative society. Any individual or the proprietorship concern or the partnership or LP, whosoever is into the deposit deposit schemes, it is applicable to that. Now we read line by line. An act to provide for a comprehensive mechanism. Comprehensive mechanism. Please keep attention on my words, on to which I emphasize. An act to provide for a comprehensive mechanism to ban the unregulated deposit schemes other than deposits taken in the ordinary course of business, and to protect the interests of depositors and for the matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. I repeat, every line, every word is important, and every phrase of word I have explained. Comprehensive mechanism, central database, competent authority, separate courts, separate database, everything. Comprehensive mechanism. To ban the unregulated deposit scheme. क्या करना है? What to ban unregulated deposit schemes? What a deposit we have discussed. Other than deposit taken in the ordinary course of business. We have discussed it, the deposits which are taken for the purpose of business, not of the deposit, and which is not regulated which is not with the regulators primarily, which are specified in the schedule, and to protect the interest of the depositor, to protect the interest of depositor and for the matter connected with. This is the preamble, means this is the primary purpose and which is very comprehensive in itself. And I believe it is clear to everyone. It extends to whole of India. It came into force from 21st February 29. This is the alignment of the chapters. Now we read the chapters. As I told in the BULA, the appropriate government means the state government. The execution or implementation of this act is to the states. So central government has given a primary act. Now the state governments need to made the separate rules according to their regulators in consultation with their regulators according to their need and according to their culture and financial activities with the deposit being taken in their state. So government, appropriate government means the state government, whether it's, and union territory is the central government. A regulated scheme means specified in the column 3 of the first schedule, which we will read later on. Or then unregulated deposit schemes means a scheme or arrangement under which deposits are accepted or solicited by any deposit taker by way of a business and which is not a regulated deposit scheme. Means same way which is not regulated, which is not mentioned in the schedule first, and which is taken by way of business, individual to individual, not for the purpose of business, shall not be considered. The deposit which is accepted or solicited, important. Keep attention on my emphasis when I put emphasis on a word, it means something. Accepted or solicited by any deposit taker by way of business. So, in the course of business of deposit, uh, please differentiate it from the deposit taken for the ordinary course of business. It is different from that. Here, intention is the person who is taking deposit and who is into the business of taking the deposits, right? uh, though we have read out deposits extensively in my previous communication, I again repeat, any amount of money received by way of an advance or loan or in any form by deposit taker with a promise to return, whether after a special period or otherwise, either in cash or in kind, or in the form of a specified service, with or without any benefit in the form of interest, bonus, profit, or in any other form. So, any amount of loan or advance not in the nature of business with the intention to return, with the promise to return, with or without any benefit shall be considered a deposit but does not include from the scheduled bank, from the public financial institutions, governments, foreign governments. I have highlighted the capital contribution by the partners in the partnership firm or the LLP. It is not be considered as the deposit. Amount received by individual by a loan from the relatives or in the form of relatives of the partners. It is also not considered as a deposit, and deposits from the relatives in the company, we have also read that it is also not covered. Deposits from the directors is also not covered. So primarily the one who is doing ordinary business other than of deposits and taking deposits from the relatives, from the directors, those kind of deposits are not covered. They need not to worry about that. Credit by buyer to seller from asset reconstruction company, amount accepted political party से भी अगर आप डिपॉजिट political party का deposits में involve है तो it is also not considered over here. No comments on it. Periodic payments made by the self-help groups. Here they have made self-help groups co. They have excluded exclusively from the definition of deposits any amount prescribed by state government. So these kind, if you are into the taking of deposits, you are it's okay, no worry. But if deposit being taken beyond this, then it will fall under the purview of buts. I read quickly. An amount received in the course of for the purpose of business and bearing a genuine connection to the business. I have already read, again repeating. Payment advance or part payment for supply of goods or provision of service is not deposit. Advance receipt for consideration of the immovable property under an agreement is not deposit. Security of the dealership is not deposit. Advance under the long-term projects for supply of capital goods is not deposit. Provided it become refundable, such amount shall, if it is the moment it become refund due for refund and it is not paid beyond 15 days, then it becomes the deposit. So basically purpose is one cannot hold the money of others beyond the specified and committed timelines and committed purposes. One cannot use others' money for the purpose other than mentioned and for the time other than prescribed. Beyond that purpose and beyond that time, any money taken even from these kind of institutions or the persons or in the course of business will become deposit as per BURDS, and provisions of the BURDS Act will be applicable. Relatives I have read out. Now the banning section 3, which is very important. As I told, this is the main charging section. The unregulated deposit scheme shall be banned. Clear-cut ban, unregulated will not be accepted. No deposit taker shall indirectly promote, cooperate, issue any advertisement soliciting participation or enrollment in or accept deposit. Neither acceptance is allowed, nor enrollment is allowed, nor participation solicitation is allowed, nor participation is allowed, nor advertisement is allowed, nor to operation is allowed, nor to promote, or either directly or indirectly. All these kind of activities in relation to unregulated deposits are banned, not permitted. This is about the that section 3 was about the unregulated. Section 4 talk about the non-deposit taker while accepting deposits pursuant to a regulated. This section talk about the if the scheme is regulated, but there is a default in repayment or return on maturity, then it will be punishable under section, it will be charged under section 4. So section 3 is about the unregulated complete ban. Section 4 is about the regulated schemes and default in repayment or return. Got the difference? Section 3 is about the unregulated, section 4 is about the regulated, but default in regulated is also covered here. Section 5, no person by water on a call shall knowingly make any statement, promise, or forecast which is false, deceptive, or misleading in material facts, or deliberately conceal any material fact to induce another person to invest in or become a member or participant of any unregulated. See, here section 5 talks about any other person, not about the deposit takers, but any other person. No person, whosoever by whatever called, sorry, will not induce any other person to invest or become a member of any unregulated deposit scheme. So, the person who is involved in deposit, unregulated deposit, the person who is advertising or inducing on behalf of that person, and the person who is into the regulated deposit scheme but defaulted in repayment of or return of its deposit. So all the three segments are covered under different segment sections 3, 4, 5. Right? Section 6. A price sheet or a money circulation scheme banned under the provisions of chit fund shall be deemed to be in C. Price sheet and money circulation scheme banned under the provisions of price sheet. This is already, we all know that it has already been considered as unregulated. Now we come to the authorities. Mhm. As I told you, the primarily when we talking about birds and BULA, birds means unregulated deposits and BULA is unregulated lending activities. So the basic difference was till now basically the what is deposit, what is lending, what is unregulated deposit, what is unregulated lending, what are the regulators for deposit, what are the regulators for lending. So till now, the basic difference was there. Now, as I told, the authorities, the central database, the involvement of the police and the CBI and designation of the courts is almost on the same line. So it is applicable almost to both the BULA and the boards. Section 7 talks about the appropriate government shall by notification appoint one or more officers not below the rank of the secretary to the as I told appropriate government means state government. What will do that? That will appoint the competent authority and to whom it will appoint not below the rank of secretary any person. Right? Competent authority by an order in writing may provisionally, as I told, may attach the deposits. The competent authority which is designated by the state government or the union territory government, central government can attach the deposits and the money or the other property acquired either in the name of deposit taker or in the name of any person in respect of the contravention of section 3. Section 3 may, if there is any contravention of section 3, then competent authority is empowered to attach the deposits and the money and the property. Competent authority has the same power as vested with the civil court. Competent authority has the power to summon any person. Any proceedings shall be deemed to the judicial proceedings. Officers in charge may impound and retain any records in the custody. Right? Beyond that, with the previous approval of CA. Here, CA is not the chartered accountant but the competent authority. Right? So, competent authority can summon judicial will be considered as judicial proceedings, can keep under the custody of the records. So, these, why all this is? Because the government purpose and intention is to curb the malpractices and to, as you have seen in the presentation my earlier, that purpose is to address the regulatory gaps because the existing system of the courts and the non-specified authority and these kind of activities happen and happens along and it comes to the light very later on and by the time the major loss and impact has been done. So to address that, to address the regulatory gaps, these kind of provisions has put into this act. Hope I am clear. My request is, my one of the request is, if anyone is having any doubts, we can discuss as well in meanwhile. Would that be fine
Sure,
or
sir.
not?
It's fine. There's one question till now and one my personal question also. First,
Yes.
I'll first I'll ask the question posted by the participant.
Yeah, yeah, please, please.
Does this affect uh, the normal lending transaction amongst known person as assistance or mutual help? Like if someone do a mutual help or assistance, Will this act apply to that also, them
Yeah,
also?
yeah, true. Very, very true. This I has mentioned that while talking about the lending, BULA, banning of unregulated lending activities act, I told that there is they have kept relatives out of the preview, but other than relatives, everyone they have covered in the draft, which is not intended, neither intended nor desirable. In the draft bill, they have kept outside of the exemption any kith and kins or the friends or the non-persons or the local vicinity persons. You need to be regulated, which is ideally neither the intention of the government nor of the act. But in the draft bill, it is valid. The query is very valid. It is not there. They have banned it actually.
Also, the question continues, if any loan is given to a known business, whether it's a company or partnership, known business, whether it's a company or partnership or proprietorship,
Hmm.
whether the same is covered under this ban in section
See,
3.
as I told you that any activity which is in relation to the business, if you are not doing a business of deposits or the lending, and you are taking money, for example, if you are taking money in the company, and it is subject to the provisions of the Companies Act is a regulator basically, and if money is as per the Companies Act, then it is as far as if you are taking it into the individual, from the individual to individual proprietorship form, again there is no issue. You are doing both way. You are doing taking it for the purpose of business, number one, and again you are taking it from the friends or relatives or the known. So no problem at all, sir.
Okay. Next question by the participant is,
Sir.
what about deposit taken by a rental advance against lease or rent of property by owner? Whether they are considered deposits under the act if they are not in line with other relevant act, any other relevant act.
Sorry. Does this affect the normal which question? This one or something else?
No.
Can I read the query?
What about deposits taken as a rental advance against lease or rent of the property by the owner? Whether they are considered as deposits under this
No.
act.
Fine. They have excluded the security deposit is not considered as the deposits.
Now, so there is one my question.
Sorry. Yeah, tell
Whether
me.
whether the banning of Unregulated Deposits Schemes Act 2019,
Hmm.
if chit fund operators without
Hmm.
state registration but claims funds are as business advances, then how being an auditor will assess this under this scheme?
Sorry. Can you repeat? Can you repeat?
Like for example, I have a chit fund.
Hmm.
I took a registration. I didn't took a registration,
Hmm.
but taken a fund and claimed them as business advances. Now, being an auditor,
No. I
how,
understood. I understood. See, and as I told that these kind of funds are not permitted. But the point is that as an auditor, how will you identify that it is deposit or it is not deposit?
yes.
So, if it is not deposit, for example, we presume that it is taken for the other than any other purpose other than deposit. So, there would be documentary evidence which would mention that for which purpose it is actually. So, while we are auditing any books of accounts of any organization, any money flowing would be having some documentary evidence with that, and we must ensure that it is not in the form of deposits.
But evidences can be forged
Then
very
that is
easily.
beyond our scope. That is beyond the scope of auditor. That is for the CBI or the police actually.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Right. Next, should we move on or put on the questions?
We can move forward. I had
Yeah,
taken all the question.
sure. As I told, competent authority by an order in writing provisionally attach deposits. I'm sorry, यही था this. एक, एक, एक मिनट. Yeah. Which one? This. Just a minute. ये हो गया था. Yeah. Competent authority okay, this has been covered, provisionally attached, summon, adjudicate, this has been done. The appropriate government shall, with the concurrence of the Chief Justice of the High Court, by notifications constitute one or more courts known as designated court. I told it in the BULA as well. With the concurrence of the High Court of Judges, Chief Justice of High Court, a designated court shall be assigned this act, for this act and for the BULA on both for both acts. Designated court shall be there, which will be taking care of the cases of such kind of activities. When trying an offence under this act, the designated court may also try an offence other than offence under this act. See, the beauty that if the case is registered under the BULA or boards with the designated court, and there is another offence against that person under the CPC, that may be addressed along with this case. That can be taken up along with that case in the same trial. Now we talk about the central database. As I told, that central government, this is court. One part is the court, another part is the competent authority, and third part is the central database. The central government may designate an authority, whether existing or to be constituted, which shall create, maintain, and operate an online database for information on deposit takers operating in India. Means a central database has already been established with the CERSAI CER SAI. CERSAI has been appointed to maintain the central database of these deposit schemes and depositors. And Niyamit Nivesh, if you will go through that, you will find that there is a portal named as Niyamit Nivesh. There, the depositors are being getting registered themselves and their schemes. It came into the operation and it is operational as of now. Not yet fully, but it is one segment activity of the sharing information and registering with that portal is into the place. The authority designated under subsection 1 may require any regulator or the competent authority to see. Okay, fine, that's fine. Central Depository, CERSAI, the Central Depository Securitization India, designated by the central government. The responsibility include maintaining the database of information on deposit takers in India. It is being taken through the Niyamit Nivesh Vikalp. It is happening. A corpus of over 25,000 CR has already been put up in for the deposit, education, and awareness funds. The government is yet to find the effective ways. It is working. It is not fully effective, not fully operational, but some part of it already into the action. Every deposit taker which commences or carries on its business, such as on or after the commencement of this act, shall intimate the authority referred to in section 9 about its business in such form and manner which this is I told it is being done through the central database, Niyamit Nivesh. It has been already prescribed and done. The competent authority may has reason to believe deposits are accepted pursuant to the unregulated deposit schemes. Direct any deposit taker to furnish instrument. It's happening. It's being done. Section 11. The competent authority shall share all the information in the section with the central. C. This is important. The central competent authority shall share all the information received on the section 29 with the Central Bureau of Investigation and with the authority which may be designated by the central government in 9. Means where the operations of the deposit takers are more than one state, then CBI can come into the picture. The appropriate government and regulator, income tax authority, or any other agency having an information or document in respect of the offences investigated under this act shall share all such information with the CBI or the police. Banks also can inform to the competent authority about the activities which they found that it is in contravention of the act. Restitution to the depositors. Yes, this is also important. Save as otherwise provided In the securitization and reconstruction of the SURFACE or the insolvency code, any amount due to the depositors from the deposit taker shall be paid in priority over all other debts and revenue, taxes, cess, and other rates payable to the appropriate government or local authority. As I told you in the beginning that I will discuss it later on in the presentation, it is the point there. See, usually in any kind of the payment of the money, the secured creditors are kept at the priority. The top at the first number in the payment list, secured creditors are usually come at the top. But subject to SURFACE or IBC, just leave those two acts apart from it. In this act, the depositors are kept on the priority even above the secured creditors. And government dues, statutory dues. It is the amount due to the depositor from the deposit shall be paid in priority or all the debts and revenues, taxes, cess, and other rates payable to the appropriate or the local authority. Local authority or appropriate government statutory dues से पहले depositors की payment जाएगी. It will get depositor shall have the priority. An order of the provisional attachment of the property by the competent authority shall have the precedence and the priority to the extent of claim of depositors over any other attachment by any authority competent to attach property for repayment of any debt, revenue, taxes, other payables to appropriate government or and so any payment or debt to any appropriate government or the local authority, the priority shall be given to the depositors, right? So, but exceptions are SURFACE and IBC. In if the case in BULA and also it is the deposit taker is into the IBC or being target through the SURFACE, then the process of SURFACE and the IBC will prevail. But if the deposit taker or the defaulter is not in IBC or the SURFACE, in that scenario, the depositor's claim will be have the priority over the government dues, any other government dues or the debts. Right? Next. Now the the competent authority shall within period of 30 days which may extend to another 60 days file an application with a designated ward for making the provisional attachment. See, as I told, the provisional attachment of the property of the money can be made under this act. So competent authority within 30 days and or within beyond 60 days can approach to the designated code for attachment. Designated code under section 15 after giving notice to the deposit taker or the person whose property is attached shall pass an order for making the provisional attachment absolute. Initially it was provisional attachment, then it will be an absolute attachment after giving the opportunity of being heard to the deposit taker. The proceedings under this section shall be completed within a period of 180 days, means 6 months. The attachment of the property and the absolute attachment of the property, all this process need to be completed within the 6 months. The purpose is not to delay the activity and so that the depositors have their money back at earliest possible. This is the intention of the court of the legislature to bring this act into the picture and to insert designated court provision in this act because a separate code, a separate mechanism, a separate process of attachment and realization of the proceeds. Attachment of the property of malified transfer is where deposit taker has transferred any property otherwise and in good faith and not for the commensurate compensation power approval of the claim and the list of depositors. power of the designated code, approval of the claims and the list of depositors, excess value of the assets, order of competent court for attachment of property, pass order of the payment of depositors, all this as the standard process in the normal civil courts in such kind of matters. Next, appeal to the High Court and the power of the Supreme Court against the order of the designated court. Within 60 days, the deposit taker can go to the High Court. This option is available with the deposit taker. We cannot deny justice or the right to have the justice. It is the provision of going to the High Court and the Supreme Court is with the deposit taker against the order of the designated court. Where deposit taker, depositor, deposit taker, or the property involved is more than one state, Supreme Court may order the transfer of the case from one designated court to another on application of the competent authority or the interested party. Here, if it is more than one state, to any one state, it can be referred. Offenses and the punishments. See, as I told, default of contravention of section 3. Section 3 is about the unregulated deposits. Imprisonment not less than 1 year, but up to 5 years. And fine which is not less than 2 lakh up to 10 lakhs. If anyone enters into the or do any default contravention of section 3 with regard to the unregulated deposit schemes. This is about the solicitation. If anyone solicited, but if anyone has accepted, then imprisonment up to 7 years and up to 10 lakh. Fraudulent, ये by mistake है, by ignorance or by mistake है. But if it is done fraudulently, then up to 10 years imprisonment and 5 lakhs and twice of the amount collected. So it is very clear. Either you solicit, there is a penalty, imprisonment up to 5 years, minimum 1 year. 1 year imprisonment is compulsory even if you have solicited unregulated deposit scheme. If you accept, then minimum 2 years jail is compulsory. And if you accept fraudulently, then minimum 3 years to 10 years and 5 lakh to twice of the amount involved. So this is the penalty under the punishment provisions under the Act. Now, Section 4, default by deposit taker in regulated deposit scheme. As I told, Section 4 talks about the regulated deposit scheme, but default in the regulated deposit schemes. So, imprison. Am I audible? I think connectivity is there.
Yes, sir. You're
Okay, that's
audible and
fine. Imprisonment of a term which extend to 7 years or with fine may not less than 5 lakh rupees but which may extend to 25 CR or three times of the amount of the profit made out of the fraudulent default. You understood? If it is a regulated deposit scheme and the deposit taker defaults in repayment or return, then imprisonment up to 7 years and fine minimum 5 lakhs and up to 25 CR. You understood? Next, wrongful inducement in relation to unregulated deposit scheme by any person. You see, any person means, as I told you in the beginning, that any there is one person who is deposit taker and there is another person who is soliciting that scheme. As you have seen various agents and many times our kith and kins, brothers, sisters, or neighbors or friends, get involved in with these schemes, and they solicit for those schemes and collect money from the close ones. Imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 1 year, but which may extend to 5 years, and the fine which may extend to 10 lakh rupees. So you understand the intention of the government by bringing this bill, this act is up to grassroots level. They want to protect the depositor up to the grass level, because deposit taker usually not have a direct interaction with the depositors. There is a chain of agents who work on behalf of the deposit takers and solicit the schemes across the society. Now, whoever punishment for repeated offenders. See, whoever having been previously convicted of an offense punishable under this chapter, except for the section 26 information of the business to designated authority by. See, you have seen that every business owner is need to give the information of the business to the competent authority, except that any other offense if has been done under this act and he is a repeated defaulter, imprisonment not less than 5 years, minimum 5 years के लिए he will be get into the jail, and the minimum fine not less than 10 lakhs but up to 50 cr. See, any person who is repeated offender under this act, except of the sharing of the information with the competent authority, he shall be punishable for imprisonment minimum 5 years and the fine up to 50 cr. Offense committed by the deposit taker other than individual means, in case of company or the trust, then the officer in charge will also be charged of the default and contravention of the provisions of this act. Person in charge of the business and the deposit taker both shall be deemed to be guilty of offense means the CEO, CFO, or the CMD, or the principal officer, or the manager, all these who are in charge or on employment with the organization or the deposit taker, they shall be made responsible for the defaults and the contraventions made under this act. If proved that offense has been committed with the consent or connivance or is attributable to the neglect on the part of director, manager, secretary, promoter, partner, employee, or other officer, such person shall be deemed to be guilty. Right? Clear? Next. Whosoever fails to give the intimation required under subsection 10, one fails to furnish any such statement, information, or particular as required under shall be punished with 5 lakhs. Fine, it's okay. No designated court shall take cognizance of an offense punishable under section 4 except upon a complaint. See, there is a difference. In section 3, designated court can itself take cognizance of irregularities or offense for unregulated deposit scheme. But in case of regulated deposit scheme, unless a complaint is not made by the regulator, court cannot take the cognizance automatically itself. Right? Chapter search and seizure. इसको क्विकली कर लेते हैं बिकॉज इट इज a standard process. There is nothing much into it. And every offense, it is same as of the civil code basically. Every offense punishable under this act shall be cognizable and non-bailable. Offenses under this act are not bailable and cognizable. Offenses under section 22 to 26, default in repayment of regulatory scheme, section 4, and information to be shared by the Fine. The police officer shall, on recording information about the commission of an offence under this act, inform the same. Police officer को, if police officer get the information about any offence anywhere, it will inform to the competent authority. As I told that these cases can be police officer to the rank of SHO has the power to enter, to search, to take into account, to take into custody any premises or any person. So police officer have the right if he get the information about any contravention of these acts. That on the receipt of information, if the competent authority has reason to believe that the offence related to deposit scheme, the depositor, deposit taker, or the properties involved are located in more than one state, the total value of the amount involved is of such magnitude as to significantly affect the public interest, the competent authority shall refer the case to the central government for investigation for the CBI. As I told earlier, that if it is more than one state and the impact is substantial, then it can be referred to CBI. As I told, a police officer not below rank of in charge has reason to believe may within the limit of police station with the written authorization of the superintendent of police after recording in writing, enter, search, break, seize, record or property, detain and search any person. I repeat, enter, search, break, seize, record or property, detain and search any person. These are the powers given to the SHO under this act. CPC provisions will apply. Miscellaneous say the respondent, the provisions they shall have the effect. ठीक है, ठीक है, fine, that's fine. Universal, the provisions shall be in addition. Okay, fine. It is in addition to, not in derogation of the other. Fine. In particular, powers of the central government. Fine. Rules and regulations बनाने का normal power. There is nothing much to discuss about it. In particular, and without prejudice to the generality of the following provisions. Uh, purpose and see rules and regulations है, no worries. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के रूल्स का no worries. जनरल प्रोविजंस हैं. See, as I told, the provisions of this act shall not apply to the deposit taken in the ordinary course of business, as I told earlier repeatedly. These are the regulators which I told prescribed on the Schedule 1. If any scheme is approved by these kind of regulators, then it is a regulated scheme. There is no worries about that. Need to be approved by these. Thank you. From my side, it is almost done. I will appreciate if anything or something or whatever. I am open. Please do let me.
So there is one last question.
Sir, please tell me just how I can see the screen.
Uh, yeah.
Just a minute, just a minute. Um, yes, yes. Now tell me.
Will the secured creditors become subordinate to deposit holders in case competent authority attached the property of secured earlier? It looks to be impractical as the competent authority cannot decide on priority payments when the property is secured until the secured creditors are discharged fully.
I agree. Fully agree, sir. Fully agree, sir. Fully agree with you. As I told that where there is any trust or the company or the any deposit taker who is covered under any other act, the provisions of this act are in addition to of any other act. But if the provisions of this act only applicable in that scenario, the depositor shall have the claim over all the statutory dues and other debts. But if it is covered in any other act or any regulation, then definitely secured creditors will prevail, sir. This is the problem and this is the challenge with this. And this is the practical problems which is very practical with regard to this act. Very true, sir. Accepted.
And second is I think you have already taken it. But are
Are
personal
personal
and family loans also treated as unregulated deposits under these laws?
I told sir anything, any amount taken from any relative or any amount taken from the friends for the business or in routine course, not for the purpose of deposits, business deposit shall not be considered, sir.
So, any other questions?
I think
Then
in the initial phase of presentation, there were some challenges with regard to the connectivity. But I believe ki post 15-20 minutes, all thing was in sync with.
I think your presentations and your webinar already cleared most of the doubts of our
So, Malav,
listeners.
if we missed something in the earlier 15-20 minutes, I try to cover it in the next presentation during the delivery. I tried to that.
Okay.
That's fine.
So, shall we end the
From
close
my
the
side,
webinar?
it's okay. I am done with it, and I'm really grateful to and thankful to all of you for giving the opportunity and having coordinated and all time support together along with. From my side, it's done, sir.
I, on behalf of ICA Committee on Corporate Law, Economic Advisory, and NPO Cooperative, thank you for taking such a amazing initiative, amazing webinar. And we have even come to know the two important acts, and one is bill and one is act. And maybe the bill will get implemented soon. Let's see. It's a good bill and much needed one. And I hope all the participants, around 300 participants, joined us. Hope all have acquired a good knowledge from you and from your expertise. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Have
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
evening ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.